Bitcoin is really on the global stage right now, looking like a potential protection amid war and currency devaluation.
Because Bitcoin, at least philosophically, is supposed to be a safe haven. It's supposed to be a hedge against geopolitical risk. It's supposed to be a very unique asset.
It's a layer of monetary energy that you can overlay over digital information of the first generation internet.
I just wonder what most excites you about Bitcoin and the use cases today, and perhaps how it might be used in the future.
I think if you look at it as digital property, it's pretty clear there are billions and billions of people that would rather own digital property than physical property. And I think that the most forward-thinking use case is Bitcoin is digital energy. If you go on Twitter, you find like in 1 hour, 500 Michael Saylor bots. They all get spun up. If you go on YouTube, there are about 500 to 1,000 Michael Saylor Bitcoin giveaway scams every week. We take them down every 15 minutes. The world, the cyberspace is beset by scammers, phishers, denial of service attacks, spammers, and it's never been worse. It's literally awful. And the reason it's awful is because no one's got any skin in the game. Or another way to say it is, there's no conservation of energy in cyberspace. I can go into a hotel in the real world, post a credit card, smash up the hotel, and they charge me money. But what if I could go into every single hotel on Earth, in every hotel room in every hotel on Earth, using a Python script and smash them all up and not get charged any money, right? The entire world would come to a grinding halt. And so that's the status quo on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and Office 365 right now. And you're watching the front page of the paper. If you look at the Wall Street Journal today, massive amount of cyber attacks being launched on Ukraine right now. They're all denial of service attacks. Denial of service attacks is like when someone hits your website with 15 million requests in an hour. They can do that because it doesn't cost them $1 a request or $10. So if you want to solve the problem of cybersecurity and make cyberspace safe for children, and if you want to eliminate hostile cyber attacks, and if you want to clean up Twitter and YouTube and stop con men and phishing and scamming, the simple solution is let someone get an orange check mark next to their name if they post $10 worth of Satoshis. I think that the volatility is driven by the immaturity of the asset class, and that means the lack of wash trading rules. You can buy it and sell it in the same hour and harvest a tax loss. I think that's fairly immature. I think 20x leverage on the offshore exchanges. I think the wild west of crypto derivatives. I think cross-collateralization of altcoins into ETH, into Bitcoin through DeFi exchanges on a Saturday night, through a very thin piece of liquidity on the 177th biggest coin. All of those things are a recipe for volatility. And then the uncertainty about the regulatory environment, because as regulation comes, it has an impact on all these different crypto systems, and they're all cross-collateralized to each other. So I'd be surprised if there wasn't volatility. It comes with the territory. There are pros and cons. I think that the volatility will be damped as the regulation progresses, and that'll encourage institutional adoption. And now you lock down all websites and all inboxes and all comments to people with the orange check. And of course, you would only have to post $10 once in your life, which is fine because you're not going to denial of service attack someone. But if I'm a hostile bot, like these people that actually impersonate me on YouTube, they have 40,000 live bot listeners. They would have to post $400,000 in Bitcoin every 10 minutes or every 15 minutes because they refresh every 10 minutes, Mackenzie. If you did that, it would cost you $40 million a day to launch that attack instead of nothing. And so the compelling application of Bitcoin is it's a layer of monetary energy that you can overlay over the digital information of the first generation internet. Yeah, I think that Bitcoin is best thought of as property, not a currency. Currency is defined by a nation state, and unless the nation state allows you to transfer the asset tax-free, it'll never be a currency. They may allow you to transfer de minimis amounts, right? If they gave you a $600 carve out, which was what I saw in the last bill circulating around the Senate, it would work for small use cases, but it will never be a competitor to a currency. I think it's best thought of as property, and the same way that, you know, you have a second home for rental income. And if you had a home and then you went to Starbucks, you wouldn't try to break off a part of your house to pay for coffee. You would simply set up a credit line, a home equity line, or you put debt against your house. You would convert that into dollars, and then you would pay for your coffee with the dollars. In fact, it makes a lot more sense to use it as property than as a currency anyway, because, you know, if you had $1 million of Bitcoin and held it for the rest of your life, and then you borrowed against it, you know, as long as you keep your expense ratio lower than the expected appreciation of the asset, you can do that forever, right? So it's just much wiser financial decision. Go short the currency, go long the property, and that's a time-tested investment strategy by pretty much every successful investor.
We got to be careful of is not judging the performance of these assets based on a couple of hours. But I do think that the prevailing narrative of Bitcoin being that digital gold, being a censorship resistant technology, especially when we see sanctions, not only the United States to Russia, but we see China sanctioning Raytheon and Lockheed, or we see Canada sanctioning some of their own citizens. I think this is going to become a bigger and bigger narrative, and Bitcoin's going to continue to serve as one of the solutions as the world kind of wakes up to the fact that financial censorship is